Only on 11 Alive, every single year, the state surveys the unhoused population and the resources to help.
And on the night of the count, the city of Atlanta reported 33% of its emergency shelter beds were not being used. But when our 11 Alive News Investigates team tried to help a woman get into a shelter, reporter Rebecca Lindstrom says they quickly learned the data wasn't telling the real story.
Time passes.
That could be anyone's son on that billboard.
As a reporter, one story often leads to another.
Melissa's son was murdered. I had met her when I was doing a story about that cold case.
But when 11 Alive Investigates Savannah Levins got a call from Melissa Becker 2 years later, it wasn't about her son.
Well, she was in a situation where she was homeless.
The call came on a Sunday.
I called maybe a dozen places, and every single place was closed.
On Monday, when the shelters did have intake, there wasn't any room.
Just complete hopelessness.
No luck Tuesday either. Instead, we found Melissa sleeping on a concrete bench at a MARTA bus station.
It became critical, not only just for hydration, for water, for food, but for that sleep.
And she had a tough time keeping her cell phone charged, making communication even more difficult. By Friday, I was also involved, confused at how annual reports like this one could claim empty beds when we couldn't find Melissa a single one.
I think it's all the unknowns that make it so bad.
We had learned through trial and error, lines start hours before the doors open. Emergency shelter beds are first come, first serve, and Melissa was not the only one trying to get in.
The demand is staggering. It's growing by the day.
Ike Reigard, the CEO of Must Ministries, says once in the shelter, people can stay for 30 days. But when the shelter's full, new people can't come in until someone leaves.
The hardest job at Must is the person who has to look at someone and go, we don't have any more beds.
Catherine Vassell, the CEO of Partners for Home, says even with the demand, some beds go empty because the people in that line don't fit the shelter's criteria.
I really think we need the will to change the way their front door operates.
Most shelters fill their empty beds in the morning, but when curfew rolls around at night, not everyone returns, which means those unexpected empty beds go unused, even when someone like Melissa is right outside.
It's really, really frustrating to think that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're desperately needing help, and yet it still seems to not be attainable.
Right now, when you get turned away, there's no one who can tell you if tomorrow will be better or if a shelter down the road has space.
We should be eliminating that burden to streamline the process and make it as easy as possible.
For 5 hours, Melissa waited with everything she still owned packed in 2 bags.
First and second, come on in.
When the gates opened, the chaos began. People cut in line, desperate to get in.
Oh, here we go again.
At first, it looked like Melissa would have to spend the weekend sleeping on the streets before she could try again on Monday. Thankfully, Must found another bed.
The fact that there are so many shelters and it took us a week to get one woman a roof over her head was mind-blowing to me.
In Cobb County, Rebecca Lindstrom, 11 Alive Investigates.
Now, if you have a tip for Rebecca and our 11 Alive News Investigates team, you can call us at the number here on your screen. It's 404-873-9111.